Hello, this video is to help you complete the slides from 3 to 11. Every time you have a poem and a speech that you've read, you have to complete the slides that go along with each. You will be getting a supportive grade each time they are checked. So as you're going through the slides, the first thing you're going to do is pick out the vocabulary. You can use dictionary.com, or you can use the list I gave you in the beginning of the semester for some of the speeches. So first thing you're going to find the word. So if it's from Martin Luther King's speech, we're just going to go with So I found these 3 words from King's speech. I can go to dictionary.com and look up the definition. I'm just going to type in sweltering. And definition comes up. It is an adjective, suffering oppressive heat. I'm going to just copy and paste. Back to my document. And we said it was an adjective. The adjective should go here, actually. Alright, and then I'll do that for the next word, and so on. To find it in the speech, I have to open the speech. So I can click here for the text. There's also a text in the School of the first folder. So I'm going to look for the word sweltering, Control F. I type in the word sweltering. And look at that, it came up right away without me typing the whole thing. And I'm just going to copy and paste the sentence that it's from. Very simple. And I can shorten it if I want. I could do something like put it dot, 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 and then just end it like that if I want. Alright, now that, and then I'm going to do the same for each of those. So that's how I do the vocabulary slide. Next slide. We should have talked about this in class. If I were to go back to the speech, I could find at the top of the speech where it took place, the date, etc. Alright, and the reason is what we would have talked about in class. Alright, next, speech overview. Okay, we did that. Next, the tone would have been something we talked about. So, and then there are tone words here you can pick if you look at these. Then the rhetorical device. I have to pick out some that were in the speech. Now, I'm not defining this word. I'm actually using one of the devices. So here's the list of devices. And I found anaphora. So I'm just going to copy this definition. And now I know what it is. And then I have to actually check the speech for anaphora. If I took good notes when we were going over in class, I should have them. I can look at the lines that I highlighted or whatever, and then I can go back to my speech from King, and I can copy and paste from the speech. So I'm going to find an example of anaphora. And it's going to be the 100 years. I'm just going to copy 2 examples. I don't need all 3. And then I will explain what's going on in the quote, so what's basically happened, why is he saying 100 years, and how does this prove the purpose of the speech. And the speech is about fighting for civil rights in a peaceful manner so that eventually everyone has them. Alright, so that's that part. I'm going to do rhetorical device number 2 in the same way. And then I'm moving on to the poem. For the poem, I just have to put what it was about. So the poem was called Democracy by Langston Hughes. That was the one we read. And it was about having democracy as a minority. What was the tone? We talked a little bit about that. What's the message? The message should be very similar to the speech that you just read by King. All right, after I complete that slide, I'm going to go to poetic devices. So here's my sheet again. I have to look and see what was used, which poetic device. Remember, we talked about this poem had metaphors and alliteration. So I'm going to do the definition name. I'm then going to copy an example of alliteration or metaphor or even rhyme scheme. If I don't have a second example, I put NA. I'm going to explain how the alliteration helps prove the theme of the poem and why, and explain how it's used, and then explain how it's used. And I'm going to do that for 2 different poetic devices. And then finally, I'm going to compare the speech and the poem. How are they similar or different? What about the figurative language they used? So make sure this all gets complete, and good luck.